Have you ever wondered what the greatest distance between two human beings is? It is not geographical distance, it is not the difference in age, and it is certainly not the balance in a bank account. The greatest, most vast, and most difficult distance to bridge is the gap in mindset. There are those born into poverty who carry the noble spirit of a king. And conversely, there are those sitting on piles of gold whose minds are trapped in a cycle of scarcity. The story I am about to tell you is not just a lesson in changing one's fate, but the most powerful testament to a single truth. A person's stature is determined by their own thoughts, and life only truly changes when we understand the law of exchange. At a crowded and bustling train station in a large city, where streams of people hurried past each other like in different gusts of wind, there was a beggar who frequently sat in a secluded corner near the entrance. Like many others in his situation, he wore tattered, grimy clothes, his face cast downward and his eyes filled with a dull, soulless sadness. Before him sat a chipped bowl containing the small change that passers-by occasionally tossed in, accompanied by looks of pity or, sometimes, contempt. His life was a repetitive cycle of waiting for the kindness of others, waiting for alms, and waiting for a miracle that he himself did not believe existed. He believed he was born under an unlucky star, and that his fate was sealed to live off the charity of society. One day, amidst the busy crowd, an elegantly dressed businessman exuding sophistication and confidence walked by. Out of habit, the beggar raised his chipped bowl and croaked out a plea for some spare change. The businessman stopped. He did not hurry away like the others, nor did he immediately drop money into the bowl. He looked deep into the beggar's eyes, a gaze that held no pity, but rather scrutiny and gravity. The businessman reached into his pocket, but then suddenly paused. He spoke in a deep, powerful, yet warm voice. "I have no small change, but if I give you money, what will you give me in return?" The beggar was stunned. His eyes widened in surprise and confusion. In all his years of begging, no one had ever asked him that question. He was a beggar. He had nothing but his bare hands and his frail body. What could he possibly have to give? He stammered, unable to find words, feeling both humiliated and a bit angry. He thought to himself, "Is he mocking me? I am a beggar. How could I have anything to exchange with a wealthy businessman?" Seeing the beggar's silence, the businessman said nothing more. He gave a slight smile and walked away, leaving the beggar in a state of utter bewilderment. However, the businessman's words haunted his mind. "What will you give me in return?" That question was like a stone thrown into a still lake, stirring thoughts that had long been dormant within him. The next day, the businessman passed by again. This time, the beggar saw him from a distance. He looked around frantically, trying to find something he might have. He noticed a patch of wild flowers growing from a crack in the concrete near where he sat, small but resilient blossoms. He hurriedly plucked a few flowers, cradling them in his calloused hands. As the businessman approached, he held out the flowers and said in a trembling voice, "Sir, today I'm not asking for money for nothing. I would like to give you these flowers in exchange for some change." The businessman stopped, his eyes lighting up with satisfaction. He respectfully accepted the small flowers, pulled out a large denomination bill, placed it in the beggar's hand, and said something that completely changed the man's life. He said, "Now we are even. You are no longer a beggar. You are a merchant, and I am your customer. We have exchanged value." With that, he patted the man on the shoulder and walked away, leaving the beggar standing there, clutching the money. But more important than the money was the powerful surge of emotion in his heart. He was no longer a beggar. He was a merchant. Those words echoed in his head like a declaration, a liberation. For the first time in his life, he felt he had value. He realized that charity only feeds the stomach, but self-respect and mindset feed a life. He looked at the money in his hand, not with humble gratitude, but with the pride of someone who had just completed a successful transaction. Immediately, he decided not to use that money to buy food or alcohol as he usually did. He went to a nearby flower shop and used the entire amount to buy the most beautiful bouquet of fresh flowers. He began his first business right at that corner of the train station. Instead of sitting with his head bowed in supplication, he stood tall, holding fresh, vibrant flowers in his hands. Whenever someone passed by, he smiled and invited them to buy flowers. He did not ask for pity. He sold beauty. He sold joy. His attitude changed, his gaze changed, and strangely enough, people's attitude toward him changed as well. They no longer saw him as a social outcast to be avoided. They stopped, they admired the flowers, they paid, and they received the flowers with a smile. He realized that the law of exchange is truly fair. To receive something, you must first know how to give. When he provided value, even if it was just a flower, he received respect and the money he deserved. Day by day, his capital grew. He no longer wore tattered clothes. He bought a clean outfit and groomed himself neatly. He understood clearly that if he considered himself a businessman, he had to have the demeanor of a businessman. He began to learn about different types of flowers, how to wrap them beautifully, and how to speak to customers. He was no longer the beggar of the past. He had truly become a merchant in his mind before becoming one in reality. Years passed. From a street flower vendor at the station, he accumulated enough capital to open a small flower shop. With his dedication and understanding of the value of exchange, his shop grew increasingly crowded. He never forgot the first lesson: never take anything from anyone for nothing, and always provide the best value to the customer. The small shop turned into a large one, and then into a prestigious chain of flower shops in the city. The beggar from years ago had now become a successful businessman, respected by everyone. One drizzly afternoon, at his most luxurious flower shop, he saw a familiar customer walk in. The man's hair had turned much whiter, but that elegant demeanor and sharp gaze were unmistakable. It was the businessman from years ago. He rushed out to personally greet him. After the businessman finished choosing flowers and reached for his wallet to pay, the shop owner gently held his hand and said, "Sir, this bouquet is my gift to you. You do not need to pay, for you paid me a priceless sum many years ago." The businessman looked at the polite shop owner in surprise. It seemed he did not recognize this successful man. The owner smiled, his eyes shimmering with emotion, and retold the story of the beggar at the train station and the fateful words from that day. He said, "It was you who taught me the law of life. You didn't give me a fish, nor did you give me a fishing rod. You gave me back my self-respect and the mindset of a human being. You made me understand that I am a businessman even when I have nothing in my hands, as long as I know how to create value to exchange." The businessman fell silent for a moment, then broke into a warm, satisfied smile. He said, "I am very glad you understood. In truth, I did nothing. I only helped you awaken the sleeping giant within you. Your stature did not lie in the clothes you wore then, but in the way you thought. When you decided to give me a flower instead of begging for money, you crossed the boundary from poverty into the world of prosperity. The story of the beggar and the businessman does not end with material success. It is a profound lesson about the power of mindset and self-awareness. We often complain about fate, blame our circumstances, and wait for salvation from the outside. But the truth is, no one can save you if you maintain the mindset of a victim. Success does not come from pity. Pity only helps you survive the day, but it also strips away your inner strength, turning you into a dependent. Only the value you create can bring you freedom and sustainable success. Look back at your own life. What role are you playing in the story of your life? Are you waiting for someone to bring you opportunity, money, or happiness? Or are you proactively creating value to exchange with the world? The law of exchange exists in every corner of life. If you want love, learn to give love. If you want respect, give respect. If you want wealth, provide solutions and value to society. The beggar in the story changed his future with just one moment of shifting his thoughts. From thinking of himself as a beggar, he shifted to thinking of himself as a seller. From thinking of himself as inferior, he shifted to thinking of himself as an equal. The change in perception led to a change in action. And a change in action, repeated over time, creates a new destiny. When he considered himself a businessman, the universe began to work to make that a reality. This is not a mystical miracle, but the law of psychology and society. How you position yourself determines how the world treats you. Each of us possesses an infinite treasure within, the ability to think and create. Never let your current circumstances define who you are. You may be facing difficulties, you may be in debt, or you may have failed, but those are only temporary states. Your mindset is eternal. If you maintain the mindset of a winner, of a value creator, then sooner or later, reality will have to bend to your will. Remember, even a wild flower by the roadside can become the start of a business empire if it is given with the mindset of a master. Do not wait for the world to grant you anything. Stand up, find your own flower. It could be your skill, your smile, your effort, and bring it out to exchange with life. The moment you stop begging and start contributing, the moment you stop complaining and start acting, you are no longer the old version of yourself. You have opened the door to infinite potential. Life is fair in its own way. It does not reward those who only know how to demand. It rewards those who know how to contribute. Keep the lesson of the beggar and the businessman close to your heart. Your stature lies in your thoughts, and your position is determined by the value you give. Start the journey of changing your life today, not with a large sum of money, but with a new mindset and a new attitude. Because when the mindset changes, everything changes.